Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of the social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And with that said, I'm not going to get too in-depth into the watch list because I'm just going to watch a few tickers this week because everything's been pretty much beaten down. Everything's going to be pretty much news related. I think SPY is going to end up bouncing this week unless something happens with Russia and the Ukraine or something like that. So the news will be the driver this week, and we've had some pretty massive swings. So yeah, hopefully we'll keep having the volatility. But I'm thinking that we might push because a lot of the big boys are going to be having their earnings and then this week, next week, and next couple weeks. So I think that will be the main driver. The market will start looking forward to the earnings and probably will start rebounding a little bit unless something happens with Russia or China or anything else that seems to come up in the news. But I'm thinking for a rebound this week. So I watched SPY over, for 443 for push to 450, 455, 460 even. So 470. I mean, we could even end up at all-time highs. Who knows? SPY just acts ridiculous sometimes. Like right here, it went from the bottom of the Keltner channel to the top to all-time high, new all-time highs in a few days. Well, what, 5 days? So this can definitely be above 460, even 470 in a flash. So don't count SPY, especially with the volatility we've had, having 15, 20-point days. I mean, a 15-point day could send it to 455 easily, 456, 457. So we could see some of that this week, but we'll play it by ear. That's why you need to be in the room to catch what my gameplay is going to be. The large gap ups and the large gap downs do change the play significantly, and so that's why you need to be in the room. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're going to bounce this week, have a little bit of a recovery unless news hits. So I'll definitely be watching SPY because I play SPY a lot. But a few other tickets that are beaten down I'm looking at is PayPal. Obviously PayPal is just down here close to 150. Actually, did it tag 150? And 152. So I think it's going to have a nice rebound. The weekly is just so overextended. Weekly RSI is like 23 or something like that. So I'm expecting a bounce. I mean, it's having a nice divergence going on, bullish divergence right here. As you can see, the histogram is going up as it's making lower lows. So it could have a strong move. So I would watch it over 165 for push to 170, 175, 180, 185, basically every $5. So I'd keep an eye on PayPal, PYPL. Spotify is another one I would keep an eye on. I know I had a little bit of some news controversy this past week, but this thing is just so beaten down on the weekly. In the RSI on the weekly is below 30, so that I don't think that's happened since back here. And look, we had earnings and it just rocketed, so we could end up seeing the same thing. That could have a good earnings or something like that. So I would watch it over 175 to 180, 190, 200, 205 area, 210. So basically every $5. Watch Spotify. So that and Roku just every time you think this thing has found a bottom or it's going to have a monster up day, it just keeps going lower and lower. But the histogram is going up as it's making lower lows, so it's making a significant bullish divergence on the weekly. On the histogram, RSI not so much. RSI is still going a little low, but the RSI is like down here in the mid 20s. So I would watch Roku over 155, round up a little bit, 155 for a push to 160, 165, fill that gap here at 170-ish. Then you get this 180 area. Roku, we all know Roku. Roku could have one of those days where it could just blast off and have a 40-point day, and no one could catch everyone right off guard. So that I would definitely keep an eye on. Roku It just seems like it's just so oversold. It's probably going to have a strong couple weeks as long as the market's not weak. I expect it to have a strong bounce, but the market and the news will have a big impact on the stock. So same thing with Snap. Looks a lot like Roku. Down here it went below 30. I think it was like 28 or something. Yeah, 28.02. It's seeing Snap down here this low. It's just mind-boggling because it makes so much money. I would watch it over, let's see, 31 for push to 32. Basically every whole dollar, 33, 34. Get a little bit of a gap fill right here, the 34, 35 area, and you get 36. So it's just crazy how low this is, Snap. So definitely keep an eye on that. Costco also managed to hold the weekly RCT trend line right here. So starting to curl on the daily a little bit. So I'd watch it over the 495 for push to 500. And Costco could just end up having a monster day too, and go 10. What is the average rain on these long days right here? Let's see, 469 to 489. So we can go 30 points, 20 points in a day. So if that is the case, 495 could end up being 515. So which would place it right about up here in 520 area. So I think Costco does not usually pull back this much. I mean, if you look at the history on the weekly, just the COVID crash, right here went to the bottom of the Keltner channel. It does not really pull back deep like this, and when it does, that's just when I start looking at it because it rebound. Also, Home Depot is another one. Home Depot, I believe, yeah, it doesn't pull back that much either. COVID crash right here. You get this little bit of a pullback right there. I mean, this does not really pull back either. It's kind of get the same chart as a lot of these with Costco, and I'd watch it over, let's see, for the 368, push to 370, fill that gap into 370, and then you get 380 right here, and you get 385, and you get 390, 395, you get 400. So Home Depot, I mean, doesn't usually dip that much. It dipped right here and quickly rebounded. So I'm looking for the same thing. Once it gets over this little 467 area, 470, 370 area, that it could end up taking off. Plus, you get a little bit of an inverted head shoulder. You can have a weird looking left shoulder right there, head and right shoulder. So this could have a monster move on Home Depot. Netflix is another one. Netflix got hammered on earnings. Watching for it to bounce there. I'd watch it over 395. We'll round up 395. Break gap resistance right here, the 405 area. And if it does break gap resistance, pretty close to it, so it could break it right away and try to fill the gap. So I would definitely watch Netflix this week. This weekly candle is just ridiculous how much it's dropped on that. So yeah, Netflix will be a top watch indeed. Hopefully it won't be too expensive. Hopefully the options will be priced better this week. Last week everything was just so expensive. It was either too expensive or the spreads were just ridiculous. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. I mean, there's other stocks I'll probably be watching over throughout the week if they start to look good. But I always go into the every morning and look how things are set up from overnight and the gap ups and gap downs, or however they look pre-market. Then I make my decision based on how the chart looks, what I'm gonna take and stuff like that. That's why you need to be in the room, and that's gonna do it. So thank you for watching.